Hello, my name is Julie. This channel is called Flee to Bolivia, and it was created for those who are interested in fleeing from the US and considering Bolivia or considering Bolivia as a stopover until deciding on a more final destination. This is my first video. I have done some blog posts. I have done some writing, which is a lot more comfortable for me. And I've been waiting to do video until I looked just right. I was bathed and had my street clothes on and all of that. But I don't know when we're going to be able to coincide having my street clothes on and remembering to do a video and having the strength to do a video. So here we are in my pajamas hoodie. And well, here we are. God, thank God. Thank God. Um, Today we're going to be talking about Spanish, the Spanish language. I hear emphasis when I watch some different videos on learning the language. I think I have a tendency. Something just froze up, so I'm going to say that again. I hear people talking about on different channels about the Spanish, a language, wherever you're going, the language being important. I've been speaking Spanish for so many years that I think I've taken it for granted. And so I do want to address it. And if you are interested in speaking Spanish and learning it or getting better with it, I want to provide some tips and some encouragement. I I'll give you a little bit of background. I'm from Virginia in the U.S., born and raised. And in high school, I had 4 years of Spanish. I got A's because the teacher liked me. She was a very, very sweet American teacher. And what I got out of my Spanish classes was some vocabulary and conjugating verbs. We had this little sing song thing that we did with the verb estar, which is to be. There are two different verbs in Spanish that have to do with to be. And one is ser, S-E-R, and one is estar, ESTAR. And so we would go to remember the conjugation, which is I am, you are, he is, we are. And to remember that, we kind of sang a song, which was basically, estoy, estás, wait, okay, what was it? Estoy, estás, está, estamos, estáis, están. And dun 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 dun. That was the song. Estoy, estás, está, estamos, estáis, están. 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 And then we learned some verb conjugations. That was about it. Um, Years later, when determining the household language, um, um, yeah, I kind of just did a flashback to the past, but I um, I met a Bolivian, and I ended up marrying him. And I was just thinking about the sin of living with somebody and processing that at the time and going, how am I going to share this? But yeah, so setting up household, living in sin, um, which is beside the point, but full disclosure, we had to decide which language to speak. And so he went first with his Tarzan English. And he could actually form sentences, he could actually make himself understood. When it was my turn, I wanted to tell him the story of Goldilocks and the Three Bears. And I could not produce one sentence. 4 years of high school Spanish, I could not produce one sentence in Spanish. And I exaggerated. I would tell people I gave myself a migraine trying to form that sentence, but I gave myself a headache trying to form that sentence. We did get married and we did move to Bolivia. We visited, we moved, and what I would like to do is to help you shortcut education and not necessarily go through all that I had to go through. What I noticed, we were living, with his family and around his family, and they would say certain things over and over again. So I was like a child learning Spanish, and I would imitate them. They would be like, "Vamos pues," cuando when they had to go somewhere and somebody was taking too long, and it's kind of a little whiny thing to say, "Vamos pues, come on, let's go," right? And so I would just play and imitate them. Oh, if you like aquisitos, like right here, aquisitos. Oh, ahorita. They put the ita on a lot of things. It's like it makes it kind of sweet. But it's done a lot in the Spanish language, at least here in Bolivia. I consider myself as speaking Bolivian because I talk like the people here. I was kind of born and raised in terms of culturally a second culture in La Paz, Bolivia. So I picked up a lot of the ways that they talk. And so, whatever country you go to that speaks Spanish, there are going to be different things. There's a different accents, just different ways of speaking, different words, and sometimes words mean different things. But anyway, back to the point. So they would say different things, and I would just pick up on them, and then sometimes I would collect like a whole sentence, and in my head I would just repeat it over and over and over and over and over until I had mastery of it, and I would say it out loud, and that was super helpful. And I remember at one time our girls were taking like computer lessons. It was like in this little institute, and you could take different things. So I was like, let me take advantage of this and let me sign up for Spanish classes. So I had individual attention, and the teacher worked with me using a first grade book. There was two things that she did that were amazing. One is, well, she had me take a pencil and put it in my mouth like that, and 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 enunciate and articulate and speak. There was a lot of slobbering that went on, but it was amazing. I really started speaking the words. And then she had me read this first grade book. And it was things like Pepe amasa la masa. Pepe needs the dough. Mi mamá me ama. My mom loves me. Yo amo a mi mamá. I love my mom. Mi papá me ama. My dad loves me. No? And so my Spanish started getting better. And then what I noticed as I went along, and I also there was a need. There are what we call cholitas, and they're like people kind of dressed in a very traditional way, and they'll have like the big big skirts that flare, that flare. They just have a lot of bulk underneath. They're pretty, and traditionally they'll have their hair like in two braids and like attached with a tassel kind of thing, and then a certain kind of hat, not necessarily, but just kind of a traditional dress. And it's not uncommon for them to, let's say, sit cross-legged on the cement on the sidewalk, and put their, like, on a cloth or on something, put like a bunch of carrots or onions or whatever it is that they're selling. And I remember there were incidences when I needed to speak Spanish. I needed to understand what they were saying because they were laughing at me. And I remember there was a couple cholitas selling their stuff, and we were about to get on the bus, and they're like giggling about me. And I asked whoever it is that I was with, what did they say? And they said, what this person told me they said was, we've never seen such white legs in all our lives. So my white legs were funny. But then there were other times when people were not necessarily saying nice things. And but the people are so polite. Honestly, people are very kind and very polite. But I just needed to understand what they were saying. And so that really, really motivated me. And plus, I talk. I express. So if you want to talk and you want to express, it helps a lot too, to actually learn how to do it. I do know, as a note, trying to tell a story, I failed miserably every time I tried to tell a story. And God bless the people around me that were trying to listen to the story. Because when you tell a story, a lot of times you're talking in the past. And my past tense talking left a lot to be desired. So, so telling stories is like more advanced. So back to the ease of speaking the language. I like the idea. Right now, I'm learning Quechua. I have the pleasure and the benefit of being able to go into a Quechua classroom a couple times a week. And I notice I have a tendency to create systems in my head and systems on paper. So, the system I would recommend in learning Spanish would be to learn the numbers, to learn vocabulary, build up in vocabulary and things like colors, numbers, body parts, the question words like who, what, where, when, why, how, how much, how many, that kind of thing. And then to start being able to form short sentences that we use commonly. But I want you to know in building up vocabulary, you can really build, and I would encourage that more than anything, is to build up a good sized vocabulary. And I remember going through the dictionary going through the dictionary from start to finish and finding the words that were the same in Spanish and English. And the only thing that changed was the pronunciation, or maybe you added an accent on, because in Spanish, you have accent. Oh, to back up, the very first thing is to learn the alphabet and to learn the sounds with the alphabet. It's like when I'm teaching English, it's learning the alphabet and the sounds that, just how to pronounce the alphabet. And the English and the Spanish alphabet are very similar. The only difference off the top of my head is, we have A, B, C, we have all the letters, the 26 letters. They have the same letters. They just add other things on. There's about three other changes. One is after the L, there's elle, which is two L's put together. Ooh, there's four. And then there's a CH, a che, that comes after the C. Then sometimes they won't consider it an extra letter. Sometimes they will, but that's the way I see it. You've got the che, which is the CH that's added on. You have the elle, which is the two L's. And then you have after the N is the inye, nya, 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 inye, which has a tilde. It looks kind of like that over top of the N. And then you have the R, which is, I hope I'm remembering this right, which is two R's with a tilde over it. I might have to come back and do some editing. I haven't really focused on the Spanish alphabet in a while, right? So, on that note, before I get into the same words, I would like to talk about pronunciation. Um, Now, I'm not a native speaker at all, and I've got my accent. Some people think that I'm native, some people know that I'm not, right? So it depends on the day, um, and the person. So, che is a CH. It's just like a cha, like cheese, cha, but it's like a CH and a long A. So, che, right? Um, and then the elle, ya, 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 ya. So much of pronunciation has to do with choreography of the mouth. That's the way I look at it. Like if I'm teaching English, I will show people how to place their tongue, how to place their lips, how to form their mouth to actually make the sounds. So I kind of teach myself the same in Spanish. So elle, you've got elle, which is the L, elle, in this place, elle. So the tongue gets a lot wider, ya, ya, ya. So if you can get that sound going, ya, ya, ye, ye, llama. You know the llama? Llama. In English, we pronounce it llama usually, right? But with them, same same word, same word exactly, but it's llama. Okay. Then we get the r. That's the one that's important to practice, getting those R's rolled. So, and so it's just, you start breathing and you just try it. I don't even know how to tell you to do it, but just try to imitate it. Try to imitate it, even just in playing, right? My R's stop rolling easily after I've worked out and when I'm tired and I start sounding really gringa, like really what they'll call like really white girl, but it doesn't have to just be white girl. But I will start sounding really not native when I'm really tired. So I have to make an extra effort to not be lazy with my R's. So I'm in that right now too, right? And I won't notice that I'm being lazy with my R's or being lazy with my pronunciation unless it's like somebody calls attention to it, or I can really notice it when I'm really tired, um, especially post workout. I like kind of lose my Spanish. And that's about it with the special sounds. And now when we get to the pronunciation of you can really expand your vocabulary with words like I said that are alike. So if you take radio, radio, same exact word in Spanish, but it's radio, 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 right? Instead of radio, right? Notice how the lips are different with it. Now you have the same word like hospital, same exact word, but in Spanish it sounds more like hospital. And see how the mouth like really opens? Hospital. And the tongue goes up too, right? Tal. So hospital. So once you get that pronunciation, then it makes it a lot easier. And a lot of it is hearing. What I would recommend, and that worked really well for me, is to find like some kind of CD in Spanish and that you with music you really, really like. Right. At the time, I listened to Shakira, Shakira. She had Lavanderia, Lavanderia, which is like laundry room, was the name of her CD. And I remember, I believe I was in the States at that time, and at least a certain period of time. And I listened and listened, and it came with the words, it came with the lyrics, right? And I just went over it and over it and over it. Um, and it helped me. It helped me a lot. It helped me with the fluidity of speaking. Now I listen to hymns. I listen to Christian music. I listen to music that really is very biblical and goes to the soul that way. But there are other songs that I really like. There's some old funk songs that are just nice and what I consider clean, that aren't violent, that aren't like sexual, that are just more positive, you know. So I would find songs, try to find songs that have words that are like uplifting, if possible, and just keep going over them and sing with the person. Okay, and so then you have a lot of words that are the same. Like when you have like the mouse on a computer with a computer, it's mouse. It's the same, right? And there are words like computer, computadora, computadora, that are so similar. You just get used to hearing it. Laptop, laptop, laptop. They'll take hamburger. It's kind of like words that probably came from English and that we probably borrowed from some other language. And like hamburger, hamburguesa, hamburguesa. So the ham is a it's more of a silent letter. Hot dog, hot dog. I am not encouraging the consumption of hot dogs. Um, so yeah, there's so many words that are very, very similar. So that should be encouraging. And you can even start a list with those. And then what I love, there are certain patterns that are really wonderful for learning the language. There are a lot of words that end in tion that in Spanish, it instead of the T, I have a C, and then the O gets an accent. One great example is concentration. So it's concentración. So that CION with the accent on the O instead, right? Um, let's see, what's another word? Of course, I can't think of anything right now, but I say fun, but it's not. It's not this example, but diversión. It's nothing to do with the lesson I just tried to share. Concentration, observation, observación. And if you'll notice, like observación, observ, it's the V. It probably should be pronounced observación, but I know here in Bolivia, they'll take the V and make it a B. And the B is a B. And the V is a B. And there are times where I will pronounce the V like a B. I hear people with other in other languages, and they will come here and they actually pronounce the V like a V. But to get people here to pronounce the V, I'm like, bite your lip. V, v, v. It's very difficult. So the V a lot of times will sound like a B. And again, the B sounds like a B too. Um, so anyway, those are just some kind of tips, some tips. I think the most important thing in learning a language is going to be a lot of times there can be mental resistance. So even like internal resistance and spiritual resistance, that's just it just is, right? Anytime we want to advance for God's kingdom, we want to advance in our lives, the enemy will do what the enemy can do to thwart things and discourage us. But we also have belief systems and about our ability to do things. Like I have so many people I talk to, they're like, I can't memorize Bible verses. Yeah, yeah, you can. Like when we really want to do something and we can create a system and we can work to overcome the resistance that's going on internally and externally, we can do things. It's just that so many of us, including me, are so easy. We just want things to come easy. And we want it, we want to not feel frustrated. We want to not be embarrassed, not be humiliated, not feel dumb, because maybe we have voices in our head that don't tell us we're intelligent and that we're capable and that aren't voices that aren't encouraging. So we have to start facing those kinds of things a lot of times when we want to progress. So I would say in terms of encouragement, be kind to yourself, be gentle with yourself, and give yourself lots of encouragement. If you've learned one, two, three, and you've learned the color blue, yeah, yay, yay. Uno, dos, tres, azul. Like a lot of times the Z sound is an S sound. Azul, azul, yes, azul, right? So every give yourself encouragement, and I am talking to myself too because I'm learning Quechua, which is is one of the major indigenous languages here. A few weeks ago, several weeks ago, I didn't even know one word in Quechua. I knew a bit of Aymara, which is the other major indigenous language, which I love. But now I'm really learning to like Quechua, but I'm working on my own motivation. I've been in classes several weeks and have not been applying myself like I needed to. And so now I'm like, okay, 6 weeks to go. I'm going to really start using my system. I'm going to really start applying myself. We had actually a project the other day, and where we had to come up with different sentences like introducing ourselves and talking about ourselves. So I think that's wonderful. So I'm setting myself to really setting up a good system because when those 6 weeks are done, I want to know that I have a what are my goals? They're up on the wall. Um, I have a goal, and I don't know if this inspires you to set a goal, but I have a goal of 200 vocabulary words, 20 verbs conjugated, like I am, you are, he is, right? And then also, what was it? 40, yeah. And then 40 questions and answers, which is a lot. It's aggressive. I'm not sure if I'll make it there, but it's great setting up goals and goals that we feel like that we can stay excited about, right? And we don't have to accomplish it all. It's great when we can, but by setting those goals, even if we accomplish half of it, that could be a great thing. So, if you're interested in Spanish and you've got some Spanish background or you have zero Spanish background, know that I believe it to be a lovely language, a beautiful language. a language that's a whole lot more straightforward than English. In English, you have to memorize so many words, there's so many different exceptions. But the word will basically a lot of times tell you how to pronounce it because it will give you an accent. And like with the enye, it will tell you. It's just so much more predictable how the pronunciation is. Sentence structure is another thing. Just basically, if you have pretty girl, you would say pretty girl in English, but in Spanish, you would go girl pretty. So instead of um, bonita chica, you would say chica bonita, right? Or grass is césped verde, right? You wouldn't, so you go grass green, right? And basically verde, instead of verde césped, you would say césped verde, CESPED. And verde is VERDE. You could go verde also, right? All right. I hope I haven't been confusing. I know I have a tendency to go here and there with thoughts and just work to try to bring things back. I thank you for listening. I thank you for being here. I congratulate you on making it through this video. Um, what else? Have a great day. Have great adventures. Be courageous. Be strong and courageous, like it says in the book of Joshua. And welcome to the Spanish language. Welcome to going more in depth with the Spanish language. And if you get down and you just can't move with it for several days or longer, just know that God will give you that strength again and just keep going at it. Try to be consistent. Try to get into it morning, noon, and night, or morning and night, or at the very least one part of the day, and get that consistency going and just be in that process. If there's anything you've ever done where you actually did apply yourself and you were consistent with it, think about what you did to get the success that you wanted. I can think of a couple times in my life where one in particular where I was so determined I would do anything to get that goal. So, anyway, be encouraged, be steadfast, and have faith that you will get the language going and that you will be able to pronounce. And even if pronunciation isn't great, that's okay. But just have faith and confidence. Try not to take on too much at one time and try to be very encouraging and gentle with yourself. God bless you and hope to see you again.